We about to go live one more time. No, so we about to go live. I got the old show on. Yeah, I just hit the button. Okay. It's on now. Yeah, you could cut that thing off. Yeah. Because I'm finna be reading now. Okay. All right, so we already live. All right, Truman the Cosmic Peace, Particles, and Noon Science War Times. All right, and we're about to start a series going into, this is called 144,000 in Noon Science, Part 1. So we're going to not waste no times and get past the shenanigans. And I'm your host, Vena Kena Unanupu, and that's my introduction.
Okay, I'll go real quick before Nebu get himself together. True peace. I'm Anoop Bunu Nupu. Yes, I think this series by Tar 144,000 is very important for what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Because we are in dire times right now. We are in overtime, as they were saying, sports, where we are, well, in overtime, there's usually a tie in regulation, and in overtime, in order to decide the victor, overtime needs to be decided. And right now, we are up against the wall for a great comeback. But those who love information, knowledge, and things of that nature, we need to tap in and we need to help others get that information and knowledge and spread that information and knowledge. Because the greatest gift that you could give someone is right knowledge, and allow them and their minds to absorb the information and eventually spread that amongst themselves and others as well. So that's my introduction, and true peace to all.
True peace, friends and friends. I'm Nebu, Reuno Nunupu, Anunabu Pepper. Um, Basically, we are just, we're here doing what needs to be done to liberate our people. And this information is pertinent and must needed for us to break free from the spell of Leviathan. True peace.
All right, so we've got to go ahead and jump into the festivities again. I want to thank everybody for coming out in the present and in the future. And like Anu said, the best thing you could do for anybody, regardless of their background, mental and spiritual disposition, because we all trapped down here in the zoo, and is to give them correct information. Like the old saying goes, you give a man a fish, he'll eat for the day. But if you teach a man how to fish, they'll never go hungry. So what we're trying to do is teach y'all how to fish. This is what that is, just to use that analogy. All right, so let's get to what's going on. All right. So I know a lot of people is gonna be like, what in the heck is y'all doing? And guess what? You finna find out, because Sound Right Reason is in the driver's seat. And we follow Sound Right Reason wherever it takes us. So that's the answer to that. It ain't no what are we doing, is what Sound Right Reason is doing. All right. So that's what we're gonna do. Can y'all see that? That's good enough?
Yep.
All right.
Let's expand it a little bit more.
All right.
As much as you can. Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so it said the sealing as described in Revelation 7:1-4. Noon Ethiopian year 63, which is what the year we're in now. Nupu Menti year 99. Nupu has been in existence after resting for a long time. 99 years. That's counting from November 23rd, 1926. All right. Monday, May 12th, 2025 at 1:24 p.m. is when this writing had started. All right. So this is further back than I thought. To correct me from last night, I thought it was June or July and August, but really it was May. All right. This quote says, no damage will be done to planet Earth until 144,000. 1 + 4 + 4 + 3 zeros = 9 are raised mentally. We can do a reading as a backup, Revelation 7:1-4. After this, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth to prevent any wind from blowing on the land or on the sea or on any tree. Then I saw another angel coming up from the east, having the seal of the living God. He called out in a loud voice to the 4 angels who had been given power to harm the land and the sea. Do not harm the land or the sea or the trees until we put a seal on the foreheads of the servants of our God. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. Now, 2 things. One, this is very specific, which we're going to get into this as we go forward, because here it's making a distinction. It says our God, not y'all God. It says our. All right, so we know that the 12 tribes of Israel is de facto. We know that's not true. We know that actually ties into the zodiac and all that, which Anoop just touched on that prior to this. And if you go further back in the videos, we explain that how the Jews came into Kemet under Khufu and learned the Memphite theology, and they got the initial information and basic stuff from us, and then went back and then translated and took that stuff and made it into the Hinduism, and then eventually they grafted their own thing called Judaism after that. All right. Revelation 9:4. They were told not to harm the grass of the earth or any green plant or any tree, but only those people who do not have the seal of God on their forehead. The seal breakdown can be found in Nupu Revelation Interpretations chapter 7. All right. But we'll get into that. Let me see. Do I want to do that now, the seal? No, I'm going to wait because we got so many writings. But if you want to get the book yourself, you can always go to findoutnews.com and get the whole 22 books over there. But we're going to be breaking all this stuff down so y'all won't be lost. And remember, get the books that Afro Uno wrote first. Amanubi Rakapata from the Bible Interpretations, booklet 1, book 2, 9 ball counts 1-4, Moonset Sunrise, the transcript of the audio tape, then Introduction to the Nature 1, 2, and 3. You need all of those in your arsenal first, which we always tell y'all, get that first. Because if you jump to anything after that, or before that rather, you're just gonna make yourself more confused. All right. All right, let's re-dive into the seal explanation by Nupu, Auntie Jutah, Venner, and this writer. This great work was started and completed and copyrighted February 26th. Start writing date February. Matter of fact, I'm finna go into it right here, my bad. All right, February 28th, and finish writing date. So it took me to do this particular chapter 7. I finished with Sound Right Reason and Auntie Jutah and Venner helping me. It took me 2 days to do the interpretation of Nupu of Revelation chapter 7. The same way Nupu did the Bible interpretations, called what? Interpretations is the same mind force that helped me do these. So you're going to notice that for those who've been reading long enough, you'll be to see the pattern. All right. Revelation chapter 7. Verse 1, and after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. All right? Explanation. These are the 4 of the orbs, planets that will be affecting the earth's whole environment at this time. The sun, moon, Jupiter, and 4 Venus. This is confirmed in a part of geophysics called paleomagnetism, discovered by French physicist Achilles Delisse. All right, so we're going to take you on a scientific interpretation, because you need to have that to understand what these religious texts are talking about. This is called updating. We're drafting noon into religion and turning it from religion to the Legion of Ray. All right, so this is what this is called. This man was born February 3rd, 1817 in France, died March 24th, 1881 in France. All right. Paleomagnetism and planetary influence on Earth. All right. This is what that science is called. With the book of Revelation, in mundane terms, they're calling it paleomagnetism, when the other orbs can affect the planet herself. It's the study of the record of the Earth's magnetic field in rocks, sediment, or archaeological materials. Magnetic minerals and rocks can lock in a record of the direction and intensity of the magnetic field when they form. This record provides information on the past behavior of Earth's magnetic field and the past location of tectonic plates. The record of geomagnetic reversals preserved in volcanic and sedimentary rock sequence. Magnetostratigraphy provides a time scale that is used as a geochronological tool. Geophysicists who specialize in paleomagnetism are called paleomagnetists. All right? Paleomagnetists led the revival of what? The continental drift hypothesis and its transformation into plate tectonics. Apparent polar wander paths provided the first clear geophysical evidence for continental drift, while marine magnetic anomalies did the same for sea floor spreading. Paleomagnetic data continues to extend the history of plate tectonics back in time, as it can be used to constrain the ancient position and movement of continents and continental fragments, terrains. Paleomagnetism relied heavily on new developments in rock magnetism, which in turn has provided the foundation for a new applications of magnetism. These include biomagnetism, magnetic fabrics used as strain indicators in rocks and soils, and environmental magnetism. All right, wikipedia.org. See how far we are. We're doing good, 32 minutes. All right. All right, let's keep going. Orbs affecting the environments: Sun, Moon, Jupiter, and Venus. Venus and Jupiter may meddle with Earth's orbit and climate. In a 405,000-year cycles, the tug of nearby planets cause hotter summers, cold winters, and drier droughts on our home planet. This was an article written by Jason Daly, May 9th, 2018. Astrologers have maintained for centuries that the position of the planets impact people's personalities and emotions. Anoop was just talking about this with the zodiac. This is why they don't want y'all to know about the zodiac and your natal chart, because that deals directly with where you was at the time when you was born, and where the planets was at, and what type of spirit was assigned to you based on the orb that's your your sun sign, and who your parents were, and where you lived at, and your family lineage. All that stuff is in there. All right. While this idea lacks scientific proof, it turns out that planetary alignments do affect some things on Earth. As George Dvorsky reports for Gizmodo, a new study presents the first physical evidence that the Venus and Jupiter's gravity can cause shifts in Earth's orbit and swings in its climate every 405,000 years. Astronomers have long hypothesized that other planets in our solar system have impacts here on Earth, shifting its whirl around the sun from nearly circular to 5% elliptical. but they lack much physical evidence of this process and have long debated the particulars of the effects. The new study published in the Proceedings of National Academy of Science demonstrates the influence of our planetary neighbors pulled using a 1,500-foot rock core collected in 2013 from a boot in Arizona's Petrified Forest National Park and cores from the site of ancient lake beds in New York and New Jersey. Researchers noted that lake sediment cores bear a regular pattern of ancient lakes drying up and refilling over the course of hundreds and thousands of years, a cycle that hints at cyclical changes in climate. However, they lack the ability to precisely date those climatic shifts. The Arizona core, however, contains layers of ash from volcanic eruptions that could be dated because it contains radioisotopes. All right, remember Nuke was talking about radio activity versus the carbon. All right, so they're showing you that they can date when they're using radioactive energies or the residue of that. The researchers align the Arizona core dates to the ancient lake cores using bands found in all the cores, marking reversals in Earth's magnetic fields. This allowed them to compare the records. The analysis demonstrated that the climate swings took place every 405,000 years for at least the last 215 million years. This number is astronomically wrong. All right, or through the late Triassic age when dinosaurs roamed the Earth. That was 18 million years ago. All right. The seal of the living God at Afro-Upu. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. Explanation. This is Afro-Upu, who's already reincarnated as Afro-Upu, talking to the orbs and the planets. Listen to reason. Figures 11 and 12 shown in this paragraph are the sealed circles of order and chaos. The smack circle of order, the same as the smack circle of cosmos, as illustrated in figure 11, is how the order circle looks when all available detailed information about the cosmos and its products and offsprings are summed up and sealed in with the proper colors of the outer contours and configurations. The one on the left is the seal of the smack circle of cosmos. The one on the right is the seal of the smack circle of chaos, of the circle. The colors for the circles will be disclosed in future writings. This volume is the introduction book number 1. The smack circle of disorder, same as the smack circle of chaos, as demonstrated in figure 12 of this paragraph, is how the disorder circle looks when all available detailed information about primordial chaos and its activities are summed up and sealed in with the proper colors for the outer contours and configuration of the circle. Of course, the letter N on the smaller circle in the top half of the circle of order, see figure 11, represents Nupu, the primary creator and mental resurrector. And the letter Z on the circle in the bottom half of the big circle symbolizes Zupu, the secondary creator and evolution processor. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. Introduction to the Nature of Nature, book 1, pages 140, 149 and 150. All right. Let me go back. All right. Listen to reason. The word interchangeable means one person or thing can take the place of another person or thing, just as some gods of nature are indeed interchangeable with other gods, and some points on the smack circle of order are indeed interchangeable with other points. Colors of the eternal seal of almighty nature are in some cycles and seasons interchangeable with each other. However, this writer at this time simplifies the colors of the eternal seal by making the whole top half, including the circles, all red, and the whole bottom half, including the circles, all green, and all lines of letters of the seal, the color black. The colors black, red, and green are 3 favorite African colors. In case of the eternal seal of almighty absolute nature, eternal and infinite, black represents originality, red denotes fire, ether, brain nukes, and green signifies ground and grit. May omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient nature. What is it? Okay, the non-north omniscient nature, omnipotent select you as an elite indeed in the name Nupu by noon power. All right, this is the eternal seal of eternal nature in world colors. The arrow showing what direction the circle turns. The top half circles, the smack circle of cosmos. The bottom half circles, the smack circle of chaos. For more information, see Book 1 of Nature, page 150. All right, this is Introduction to the Nature, Book 2, page 270, which also adds up to a 9. You're going to see 9s all over the place. You got a 9 north up here at the top, 9 north above the circle. There's going to be a lot of 9s. That's what definitely what's important about 144 is what it represents as well and what it adds up to. Reaffirmation of Armageddon and justice cycle. How did this writer know the angels will hold up time enough for the 144,000 to be gathered and numbered? Let us look at some examples put forth by the Bible interpretation and explanation. Forgiveness means to take the guilt of someone upon self, and thereby the forgiver becomes an accomplice of the guilty. All right, that's another sleight of hand with religion under the moon god by causing people to forgive the wrongdoer, and you get punished first, and it makes you an accomplice of the guilty. Therefore, his penalty or punishment is the same as the guilty, but the forgiver's punishment comes before that of the guilty, because the act of the forgiver is a temporary transferment of the guilt to himself, meaning the punishment of the actual guilty one is deferred until later, since the forgiver has taken upon himself. However, the innocent paying the price of the guilty does not satisfy the laws of justice, right? Because the innocent did not commit the wrongness. The guilty one himself or herself must finally take the punishment of the guilt in full. Then the laws of justice are satisfied. And this is what the type of world we have today in America, especially, or wherever religion is found, when you're dealing with people that practice forgiveness, and then they wonder why nothing happens, because they keep saying that the less guilty or the forgiver gets handled quicker. Like in the case of Diddy and all these other folks, Diddy and them was taught how to do the things that they did. But guess who? Look who went down. Out of all the people that was involved with Diddy and in them tapes, the FBI went in there and took them tapes and made sure he was the only one that went down for lesser evils, because I'm pretty sure it was people who've been in the game longer than he has that was putting him in those situations and hooking him up. All right? Since the time of Adam and Eve, real justice was, deferred. And therefore, evils and wrongs have continued to pile up. We see that in this day and time. Everybody is talking about how evil things is and nothing is happening to the guilty. Why is Trump still free? You know, why this person still doing this? You understand? So the complaining, right? What Anoop was reading from, right? The lamentation text. Everybody is murmuring against the moon god continuously. How many people was hollering that Trump was guilty? How the fact that Trump get 34 counts of guilt and he's still walking around free? How is that? You see, so that means justice is being deferred. Something powerful is keeping human beings from being able to get the ones that are guilty. We go out there and look online all the time and type in the elites, and all type of videos will come up showing you what the elites are doing. Klaus Schwab, the UN, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, all these different groups, the Bilderberg group, you got all this stuff going on, right? All these organizations and the Masons and the Freemasons and the checkerboard flows, and they just did a sacrifice when they took out Charlie Kirk. All this stuff, people is identifying the guilty party. But none of those people was ever see a jail cell. You don't even know who did it. But we see who was the victim, though. So the book is showing you, and Noon is telling you that the guilty is still moving, right? What it say right here? And they have continued to pile up until those injustices have reached their peak. And that peak is supposed to and has triggered Armageddon. Now, this is 1967, all right? The last war, the moon cycle, the war between right and wrong. Justice cannot be destroyed, hence it was only what? Deferred. And I highlighted this word for a reason. Look, it was deferred by what? Mercy and forgiveness, transferred by forgiveness. Because people do it all the time. Our grandmothers did it. You see people having crazy relationship problems and they take them back. Oh, I forgive you, baby. I'm sorry, baby. Come on back home, baby. I know I messed up. Come on, let me back. Come on, let me back. And then, but guess what? The cycle continues because the one that let him back never gets over it because the punishment never was done. Because those laws of relationships, those real laws have been deferred. In some cases, some people still practicing those laws. You cheat on them if you want to and watch what happens. You're going to be in the news or beat up. All right? It was deferred by mercy and transferred by forgiveness temporarily. If one iota of justice could be destroyed in the sense that an iota exists no more, there would be no such thing as wrong and right. Armageddon started before the end of the moon cycle. So that was 1962. So they said it started way before. And it's still going on all over the world. The moon cycle ended February 1962, but the hangover would not be terminated until the end of Armageddon. Since the guilty themselves have not accounted for wrongness during the moon cycle, right? The 6,000-year cycle allotted to them. The end of the moon cycle is the time, look, predestined, that means was already put into play before we was even born for their reward in the form of justice. So it's telling you they're going to get theirs because it was already designed for them to get theirs. Bible Interpretation Explanation, Booklet 2, number 65 through 67 in part. What does deferred mean? Delayed, 1650s, past participle adjective from defer. Yield, offer, render, 15th century, lead to another's judgment or determination. Look at that. Because the guilty end up being the actual judges. Not only was the punishment deferred from them to the forgiver or the victim, the power of judging was given to the guilty as well. So now you're going to get judged by the wrongdoer, and you already done put the target on your back by forgiving them because of religion. And they're using religion in that aspect to get you. Because all of the people we've seen, Diddy, when you look around Diddy's neck, he got a what around his neck? A cross. You look at 50 Cent, you look around his neck, what he has on his neck? A cross. Ja Rule, 2 crosses. Pop, crosses. Rick Ross. All of these people are telling you that they are practicing religion and they get blessed for doing dirt. We know they have to do all these things to come up in the industry. And the cross also represents mental and physical death. And we know that when people go in those industries, people start dying around them because of the sacrifices. All right? So here it gives the guilty the power to defer. That's why since it was time for Diddy to go, his money couldn't defer no more. He had the power to defer. He had the resources to get him off. You ain't got to go to court. You'll never see court. But it ran out on him. But they showing you that they have the power to defer. All right? Just want to make sure we understand that good stuff. All right, look, transfer, grant, from deep, down, away, ferre, to carry, root, to carry, a sense of referring matter to someone also was in the Latin verb, deferred, deferring. This is what religion gets you. Mercy, forgiveness get you victimized, and then get you the victim, and the victimizer becomes your judge. How crazy is that? To delay, look, put off, postpone, late 14th century, different, deferring, from Old French deferrer, and directly from Latin deferre, carry apart, scatter, disperse, also be different, defer, also defer, put off, postpone. Now, let's look at what the Bible says. In other words, this is what the angels are saying up in the above quote. Do not harm the land or the sea or the tree until we what? Put a seal on the foreheads of the servants of, here we go, our God. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed. So now, again, now we're seeing there's a delay happening, right? And there's a delay happening for a certain group of people. So this is the line of reasoning that we're going with. Right now it says the Lamb of the 144,000. Then I looked, and there was the Lamb standing on Mount Zion. With him were 144,000 who had his name and his father's name written on their foreheads, right? Which we know that this is not literal, because there's nobody on the planet that popped up with the name of the Father. Because remember, this is English. What Father y'all talking about? Because we done dismantled religion. We know that the God of religion is Yahweh, which is Shiva, which is the moon god. So this can't be the same God they talking about. Because the moon god and Osiris and them is already trying to put chips in people and go digital and all of that. So this is somebody else that's being referred to. We're going to get to that, though. Their father's name written on their foreheads. I heard a sound from heaven like the sound of cascading waters and like the rumbling of loud thunder. The sound I heard was like harpists playing on their harps. They sang, look, a new song before the throne and before the four living creatures and the elders. But no one could learn the song except the what? The 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. These are the ones who have not been defiled themselves with women since they remain virgins. These are the ones who followed the Lamb wherever he goes. They were redeemed from humanity as the first fruits of God, for God and the Lamb. No lie was found in their mouths. See, this right here is very important, because we talk about religion. So anybody that's spitting religion is spitting lies. So this is not talking about religious people, because religious people lie by default, because the books that they have been translated, retranslated, remixed, broken down, split up, and all of that. So they are not being spoken of here. Can I get a witness? Glory. All right. These are the ones who have not defiled themselves with blah, 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 blah. Okay. These are the first, where no lie was found in their mouth. They are blameless. The number 144,000 is written in Revelation with the Greek words as Hekaton, Tesserakanta, Tessares, Chiliades. Chiliades, 1,000 can signify what? Completeness or inclusiveness, but can also represent a large number that cannot be counted. Look at that. So now the 144,000 could be a bigger number. You see, this is why we're trying to tell y'all about not understanding religion. All right? It's a vast but complete and inclusive group of people. All right, now we got to go into the noun ball, the laws of the opposite. Listen to sound right cosmic peace particles. According to noon science, the laws of the opposite must operate in order for the smack or the ma'at circle to continue. In other words, the negative side, the moon cycle, slowed down true justice. So now the positive side, the sun cycle, is slowing down the judgment and attack of the negative against the Nunibus plus the 144,000. This window will only last for about what? 42 months, 3.5 years, according to Revelation chapter 11:2 and 3:13:5. This is why Newt was trying to tell y'all on, without saying it yesterday, that we are in a dangerous time. He said it tonight and last night. And I even gave that example that we're in overtime and whoever scores first on football or even in basketball wins. All right? So y'all are getting the explanation of all of this, right? The opposites are the positive factors of nature and the negative factors of nature. The opposites are the positive force of nature versus negative forces of nature. Again, the reason why religious people are in the state of mental death is because the Greeks and the Romans and Caucasians in general started replacing the word nature with God. And God means ghost, but that's all right because that's for them. But when you're dealing with the true knowledge of known science, we know that nature is all there is. All right, and God is also part of nature. But because they replaced the word, if you go back to the Greeks when they was doing all this stuff, going from the philosophy and translating it and breaking down. Remember, Greek philosophy is what they was going off of before Constantine came, way much later. And the Greek philosophers used to get their butts waxed when they went back home, beating these people with the knowledge they got from the Phoenicians who learned it from us. And they could not beat them because of the knowledge they learned in Kemet. So eventually, the same way they started losing power in Kemet, and then the Greeks ended up coming in because they was over there about 500 BC or whatever. They was going over there to learn. And remember, the Phoenicians empire was waning. So when they started waning, that's when they started allowing Caucasian people into their confidence, like the Bible interpretation said. Esau let Jacob in, but it was predestined to happen. So when they started letting them in their mystery schools, those Greek philosophers that they thought was their brothers in what they would call Masonic lodges and stuff today, they were taking that knowledge back and giving it to their superiors. And eventually, they got so weak, they let Alexander the Greek in. 333 BC, and that's their number, 333. And that was the beginning of the end for them. All right, so now we're putting, Afron put the word back. So now we talk about the nature. The true opposites among the races, see, are the Ethiopian race and the Caucasian race. Now, that's why we keep having these problems. That's why everywhere you turn around in America, that's the opposite. Every time you turn around, it's about race, 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 race. Black people, white people, black people. You understand? Because we are opposites by nature. When you are opposite with a person, place, or thing, there will always be drama because that's the opposite, right? The same way a cat will always chase a bird, a dog will always chase a cat, and so on and so forth. Only the mentally dead Ethiopian African worldwide, especially in America, cannot understand that races, human beings, have opposites too. All right? The living are those forces of nature which constantly resolve to preserve and magnify life, right? And the dead are those forces of nature which resolve to destroy and nullify life while preserving and magnifying death. They just showed you that with Charlie Kirk, right? So they did the same thing with Malcolm, Martin, so many others. They represent death. Trump sending all those folks into Chicago and all that, and they say they just did it. They finished sending
Memphis.
Memphis, and I think they did a surprise pop up on another city. I read today. They created a problem only to come in later and say, "Well, we got to kill y'all." because that's what it is. Because one have to represent life and another one have to represent death. But our people have become mentally dead. So therefore, the dead finna come kill the dead. On top of trying to take out the living. All right? Now it says, therefore, since the Ethiopian and Caucasian race are by nature, one must represent life, the other death by nature. Thereby it stands to what? Sound reason that since the Ethiopian race was first on the planet, it would represent life. For there must be life before there can be death. 9-ball count number 4. All right? Listen to reason. Scientifically, the basis of knowledge, understanding, and wisdom is the opposites of nature, because all things that are most important to be known concern the opposites in their manifestations, like happiness and sadness, pleasure and pain, love and hate, knowledge and ignorance. Like all other opposites are best defined and distinguished and best for peoples when the positive opposites and the laws of nature and the positive are in power and rule for better instead of worse. Literally, the word opposite means opposing sight, but actually it means opposing place or thing as in counterpart. The negative image of a person or thing on one hand and the positive image on the other. The opposites are also balances in nature. Let it be remembered, let it be known. All right, the opposites of nature continue. Arises in the winter season, the same scientifically revolves away. Like religion revolves into noon. The science of the mental resurrection, the sun of our solar system and the moon of our planet Earth are opposites in nature and by nature, because one, the sun represents the living and life, and the other, the moon, represents death and the dead. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. Listen to reason. When the negative opposites of nature are in season and control and rule plus power, qualities and standards and values of matter and its energies deteriorate very slowly, but surely and steadily until such time when persons and things get so weak in justice and morals and structure that the foundation of the universe itself is threatened. Then the summer season of the universe. Introduction to the Nature of Nature, Book 1, pages 107 to 108. Revelation 14:1. Right? You see here it says 144,000, and it's just showing you the Greek. So I'm just going into that again. The numbers 1,000, 333, 666, 999, and their racial limits. All right? Let's look at this again. 1,000 can signify completeness, end quote. Why is this important? The digit 3, like all other digits, can represent many things and have many meanings. For example, 3 can represent space, matter, and time, liquid, solids, and gases, sun, moon, and earth, male, female, and neuter genders, 9 ether, 6 ether, and ghosts, etc. But where the Caucasian race is concerned, it means Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, and 333% of the perfect number 1,000. 333% of 1,000 is the Caucasian's race limit of mentality. For original man, it is 666, and for the Ethiopian, it is 999. Ghosts in the Caucasian race are 3 in the sense that they exist on the circle at the number 3, and the Caucasian's race degree of intelligence is limited by his nature to 333 of the perfect number 1,000. The Caucasian race is the moon cycle man who was what? Extracted ghost eyes from the Phoenician and Indian races as a result of disobedience to the laws and commandments of the sun god, which we already know that was Amenubi Ray Arakti. All right, Narmar, Menez, it's plenty of names. All right. The foregoing is scientifically true because if a being has a rich nature and makeup physically or mentally or both, that being needs things in nature that match his or her composition. If the being has a poor makeup, it needs properties in nature that matches composition. It may be put this way, since the Ethiopian race mental capacity is 999 of the perfect number 1,000, and the Caucasian race mentality is 333, we need and have the capacity for 3 times as much knowledge and quality and quantity than the Caucasian race. Because the Caucasian race, remember, came from the islands. And islands are broken up pieces of land that don't have a lot on it. And because they are so deficient, they don't need that much for them to be sustained. But us, on the other hand, the African race, because we're so rich in our blood and our melanin, we need all. That's why we was in those places like Africa and stuff, because it has everything they need to maintain. How do you think we live to be on the planet 18 million years? Because we had everything we needed. Once they got involved and started uprooting us from our places, again, what? We started dying. Just like now, we don't live long now because they done displaced us and they done got in the middle of it and they're enjoying the fruits of clean water. And they stealing food and ducking it underground and poisoning our food and water and forcing us to have to eat a certain way while they keep everything to themselves. But nature definitely has a plan for that. The foregoing is scientifically true because they being in real. Okay, we got that. All right. Okay, 9-ball count. Okay, let me see. We Ethiopians are capable of becoming 3 times as powerful as the Caucasian in his perfection. That means you can do it right now. You got 42 months. However, Caucasian perfection is in death, and the Ethiopian perfection is in life. 9-ball count 3, numbers 1, 8, and 23. Listen to reason. The perfect number of the one supreme being is 1,000. That is to say 999 plus 1 for unity, which is 1,000 for nature, or you can say the first O is for space, the second O is for matter, and the third O is for time. And the 3 are 1 and inseparable, which is 1,000. The perfect orb or ball is the perfect and favorite form of the one supreme being. And the ball's outline, profile, or silhouette is a perfect circle if the form of the ball is perfect. All right? Nature Book 2, page 19 in part. Listen to sound right cosmic peace particles. The same way that 999 plus 1 represent the one supreme being in the African race and your ancestors, this rings true for the other races. Example, 666 plus 1 represent the Phoenician race and their many branches, Mingalese mixed race between the Ethiopian race and the Phoenician race, the Indian race on the bottom half, and the 6 ether zone. All right. Here you got us at the top, the Phoenician Arabs at the bottom, then our children that we mix with, then the Indian race popped up. All right, let's go for the next 3 groups who represent 555 plus 1, which is 5 ether, Indonesian race, the Mingalese race, mixed race, and another Mingalese race. All right, those are the ones I just mentioned. Then we're going to go to the last ones. Next are 2 races, the Mongolian race and the Mingalese race, mixed race that represent 444 plus 1. The final race is the Caucasian race whose number is 333 plus 1, who exists at 3 South at the time of this writing. Events before and during the mental raising of 144,000. Now that we have exposed new information, let's focus on what's supposed to take place before and during the mental raising of 144,000. The next topic will be found in Revelation chapter 11 of the King James Bible, and then properly explained in Nupu's Revelations Interpretation chapter 11 with extra added on information at the time of this writing, which is April 31st, 2025, 2 o'clock a.m. Verse 11:1. I was given a reed like a measuring rod and was told, go and measure the temple of God and the altar with its worshipers. Nupu's version, Revelation chapter 11, 1 through 19. I was given a reed like a measuring rod and was told, go measure the temple of God and the altar with its worshipers. Explanation. This is speaking about the future building site of true culture society. Listen to sound right cosmic peace particles reason. Here's a more inspiration and revelation beyond what we reveal. The future site is Lake Victoria in Equatoria, Africa. All right. Equatoria, Lake Victoria is Africa's largest lake and the world's second largest freshwater lake by surface area, is home to a group of islands often referred to as the Sisay Islands. While the number of islands can vary slightly depending on how they are counted, some resources indicate a total of 84 islands. All right. So go and measure the temple of God and the altar with its worshipers in part. Revelation chapter 11, 1. Now remind you, they play games. Do not let that word G-O-D trick you. All right? This God is a title. So we have to identify the different type of gods. All right? But we're going to give it some time because that's what we're doing here. All right? This quote will address the temple and the god being referred to. Mukasa, the guardian of the lake. May 18th, 2015 article. All right? This is where that particular god is at. All right? Location of the temple of the god Makusa within the Sisay Islands. How many minutes we in? All right, 51 minutes, okay. Actual island of the god Mukasu's location. The Bumbembe Island, Uganda. A closer look. In Uganda, small islands typically fall under customary land tenure, a system where land ownership is often communal or within families rather than individuals' freehold. While the official minimized size for land titling is 12.5 decimals, around 0.125 acres or 0.51 hectares, this is a general guideline that doesn't specifically address the unique circumference of small islands. AI-generated source. This writer did the math, and 0.125 acres is 5,445 feet. So to give the reader a visual, this writer used the length of a football field, which is 360 feet in total. 360 feet divided into 5,445 feet is 15. So the Bubimbe Island is about 15 football stadiums long. All right. History of the god Mukasa, the throne of God and the Lamb. Among the Buganda people of Eastern Central Africa, whose land in their own language is called the Buganda, but in the Swahili language it's called Uganda. One of the central figures of the spirit world is Mukasa, the guardian of the lake. Of this powerful entity we read in African mythology by Geoffrey Parent in 1967. All right. The greatest of the demigods of Buganda, Mukasa, was a great river of oracles, a kindly deity who never asked for human sacrifice. Very important. Men say that when Mukasa was a child, he refused to eat ordinary food and disappeared from home. Later being found on an island sitting under a large tree, a man who saw him there took him to a garden and lifted him onto a rock. People were afraid to take him into their house and think he was a spirit, so they built a hut for him on the rock. They did not know what to give him to eat, for he refused all that food, but when they killed an ox, he asked for his blood, liver, and heart. The people knew he was a god and consulted him in any trouble. Mukasa lived on the island for many years, married 3 wives, and was cared for by the priest, and at last disappeared as suddenly as he had come. The name Mukasa generally refers to the chief administrator of the gods or a god associated with prosperity, harvest, fertility, and health in the traditional Buganda religion. It can also be a surname with notable figures like Adolphus Ludigo Mukasa and Mukasa Mbidi. Additionally, Mukasa is used in Central and East Africa as a name for the plant Mondora, Maristica, and Emilia Abyssinica, respectively. Elaboration, religious significance. In Buganda traditional beliefs, Mukasa is a deity, one of the highest rank in the pantheon of gods, called Balubale. He is considered the chief administrator of the gods and is associated with various aspects of life, including prosperity, harvest, fertility, and health. AI-generated search. Side note, this is what Revelation 22 is referring to. And he showed me a pure river of life, clear as crystal, proceeding from the throne of God and of the Lamb in the middle of his street, and on either side of the river was the tree of life, which bore 12 fruits, each tree yielding its fruit every month. The leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. Explanation: the pure river of life is the Nile, and the throne of God is the vagina of Mother Goddess Gertha or Earth. And the lamb is describing the benign nature of Mukasa, who is also a healer. It is who many Africans in that region and abroad would travel to Lake Victoria for healing. Origins and meaning: the name Mukasa is of African origin, specifically from Buganda tribe in Uganda. In the Luganda language, Mukasa is derived from the title given to one of the ancient spirits or deities in the Buganda culture. Mukasa, in this context, was revered as the god of the lake, primarily Lake Victoria. The deity Mukasa was believed to be benevolent, offering protection to fishermen and ensuring the abundance of fish, which was a crucial resource for the community. The meaning of Mukasa, therefore, is intertwined with notions of guardianship, protection, and providence. Given its association with water, Mukasa also symbolizes life and sustenance, reflecting the essential role that lakes and rivers play in the livelihoods of the Baganda people. All right, John 5:4. A man healed at the pool of Bethsaida. Verse 1, after this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, which is called in Hebrew Bethesda. What is it? Bethesda, having 5 porches. These lay a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain time into the pool and stirred up the waters. Then whoever stepped in first after the stirring of the water was made well of whatever disease that he had. All right, give me a second. Okay, 57 minutes. I can go over a little bit. All right, the vagina in depth examples. Here's a picture out of the Nature book to the Afro-Unu drew, showing the birthplace of the pygmy gods, that they came from down here from the 9 ether clay and came up through her womb and came up, and this is Lake Victoria in the drawing. All right, that's a side view. This is the actual aerial view of Lake Victoria, which is the womb or the top half womb of the Mother Goddess Earth. So if y'all didn't know that the planet Earth, our mother, has 2 wombs, one that birthed our ancestors, and then she has another one that birthed mankind, which is on the equator of Indonesia on Java Island. That's her second womb. And matter of fact, you can look at it right here on the side of this black and white picture. On the left, it says, look, birthplace of mankind. And you can see the same kind of line that runs from the 6 ether clay in the water up the birth canal, and they come out here. Our ancestors came out over here. Mankind, the Phoenician race, came from over here. The Phoenicians, the Indians, and the Mongolians came from over here. All right. Now compare underneath the surface. Here you have on the left is an upside down vagina. When you look at the plumes under the ground of the planet, these are super plumes. And guess what? Look how they look. They look like a uterus. This is just some of the heat and how it makes that. The plume, you need this for birth. It has to be a serious level of heat for this stuff to be what it be. All right? Bumbimbe Island. Bumbimbe is one of the Sese Islands of Lake Victoria, also known as Inyanja Ninelabale in the country of Uganda. The Sese Islands were also known as the Island of the Gods, right? This is the birthplace of the pygmy gods. So people who was picking at Afro-Unu or saying he was making stuff up, actually is rooted in reality, because this is what the name of it is. The island is called the Island of the Gods. They are located in the region of the Baganda people, also called Baganda, ruled by kings, Kabakas, who were seen as divine. The pre-colonial kingdom of the Baganda, now an administrative district of Uganda, was one of the largest and most powerful kingdoms in the Lake Victoria region. According to Buganda legend, Kintu, the first Bugandan king, founded both the sacred and physical worlds of the Buganda, returning after this life to the sacred realm from which all the Kabakas originated, disappearing from the physical realm rather than dying. All it's saying is these are the pygmy gods that came from heaven or the top half. York and his followers and many of those mental dead ones believe that the gods came down from heaven and they think out of space from another planet. This is a corruption. So these gods died and went back into the earth. That's what it means that they disappeared. All right. Disappearing from the physical realm rather than dying. Likewise, from this sacred realm, they continue to interact with human beings. In like manner, certain cultural heroes were translated into the sacred realm after this life, becoming Lubale, or guardian gods, whom the Buganda traditionally venerated in several temples on various Sisay islands and throughout Buganda country. The chief or dominant Libale in traditional Buganda cosmology was Mukasa, who was the guardian of Lake Victoria and protector of the king. Although temples to Mukasa are located throughout the Buganda region, the primary temple is on Bubembe Island, making it the most significant of the Sisay Islands. The legend suggests that Mukasa and his brother Kabaka, also Kibuka, were once human beings. They were the sons of Wanima, who was the son of Musisi, the son of Bukulu, and his consort Wada. Bukulu reportedly came from the supreme god Kantanda, the creator god who lives in the sky, and Bukulu subsequently made his home on the Sisay Islands because each temple had a priest, and the Bombay Island was the main location of Mukasa, the chief guardian. The priest of Bumbembe was considered the chief priest, to whom other priests deferred with respect to authority and prestige. Given the status of Bumbembe, only the king and few of the higher priests and immediate worshippers of Mukasa who resided on Bumbembe could interact with and implore him to act on their behalf. The temple at Bumbembe was distinct in other ways. For example, Mukasa's sacred emblem was the paddle, and each of his temples contained a paddle that the priest had blessed for reasons that may have been hidden to anthropologists who studied the Buganda in the early 20th century, like the Reverend John Roscoe. However, the temple on Bombay contained no paddle. Bumbembe Island location part 2. All right, it's an island. They tract the land smaller than a continent, surrounded by water at high water. Latitude 0, 25 degrees, 27 degrees south, 32 degrees, 18, 29 degrees east. All right. Bubembe Island is an island of Uganda in Lake Victoria. In the religion of the Buganda people, it is the home of the Temple of Mukasa. Bubembe Island is a 9-hour steamer trip from Port Bell, or 45 minutes. See these nines? I told y'all you're gonna see them throughout this whole thing. By the local ferry from Bukakata. From Bugala Island, it is a 3-hour boat ride to Bukasa Island, or 2 hours to Bumbumbe. Verse 2. But exclude the outer part. Do not measure it, because it has been given to the Gentiles. They will trample on the holy city 42 months. Due to the mixed races at this Pentecostal church, it has drawn many people to this location, and the god Mukasa is not pleased with their presence there. The holy city location. The holy city mentioned in relation to Lake Victoria is likely referring to the holy city in Timbe, a church and spiritual center located near the peninsula of Lake Victoria in Uganda. This holy city is also known as the Paradise of God and is a major gathering place for religious events and services. Holy City in Timbe's location. Holy City in Timbe is situated on the peninsula of Lake Victoria, a short distance from the lake's waters. Brother Ronnie Ministry. This church is associated with Brother Ronnie Mukabai, the overseer of the Holy City. So you can see he's African and he has a Hindu wife. All right. He's the pastor of the Holy City in Timbe. based on in Tembe, Uganda. He first began ministry on May 22nd, 2006. He established Holy City Salama on Miyano Road and later established Holy City in Tembe the 28th of May 2017. Look at the controversy. Since 2017, Ronnie Makabe has been having fights with other pastors about the land where his church is sitting. Personal life. Makabe married an Indian wife. They would trample on the city for 42 months. Explanation. I was given a reed like a measuring rod and was told, go and measure the temple of God and the altar with this worship. This is speaking about the future building side of True Culture Society, but exclude the outer court. Do not measure it because it has been given to the Gentiles. They would trample on the holy city for 42 months in part. 42 months is 3.5 years. Thursday, August the 25th, 2021 to February 5th, 2025 is 3 years, 5 months, and 11 days from the time of this writing. This writer was using 2025 as a point of possible time frame. We, the Iliad, never gave a full explanation until he and the new Bunu Nupu reunited as the dynamic duo as Marsha Bunu Uanet. Nupu has always called you both affectionately. The time is approaching eventually, but the information must be given first to you both, then the actions will follow. The two witnesses, the two lampstands, and the two olive trees. And I will appoint my two witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. They are the two olive trees and the two lampstands, and they stand before the Lord of the earth. If anyone tries to harm them, fire comes from their mouths and devour their enemies. This is how anyone who wants to harm them must die. They have power to shut up the heavens so that it will not rain during the time they are prophesying, and they have the power to turn the waters into blood and strike the earth with every kind of plague and often as they want. Nupu's version. And I will appoint my two witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. Explanation. This is the same answer for verse 2, except that 3.5 years have not arrived yet. They are the two olive trees and the two lampstands, and they stand before the Lord of earth. If anyone tries to harm them, fire comes from their mouths and devours their enemies. This is how anyone who wants to harm them must die. They have the power to shut up the heavens so it will not rain during the time they are prophesying, and they have power to turn the waters into blood to strike the earth with every kind of plague as often as they want. Once again, because they done made the book of Revelation read like it's a Marvel movie, this is why people can't get it. And when they do videos on this stuff, it looks crazy. There's no such thing as two men walking around with literal fire coming out of their mouth. But you will have people been saying this for centuries. So this is what the spookism does of religion. It throws you into a place of mental foolishness. All right? Explanation with added information, inspiration, revelation. Listen to sound right cosmic peace particle. The two olive trees represent olive oil, turpentine oil, Bunu Nupu, and Tarkina Unu Nupu. Is there a connection between olive oil and turpentine oil? AI responds, yes. There can be a connection between olive oil and turpentine oil in certain contexts, particularly historical or traditional uses. However, they are very different substances chemically and are not used interchangeably in most modern applications. Here's how they've been connected. Traditional medicinal uses in the past, both olive oil and turpentine oil were used in traditional remedies. Olive oil was considered medicinal and sold in drugstores. Turpentine oil was used topically for pain relief and sometimes ingested, though this is not known to be harmful. But this is not known to be harmful. That's not true. Been taking it for years. One historical remedy involves soaking cotton and mixed up olive oil and turpentine for earaches. Hoodoo conjure tradition. In the hoodoo conjure root work tradition, olive oil is often used as a base for spiritual oils due to its pleasant scent and association with positive attributes, while turpentine was sometimes included in the drugstore ingredients used in conjure practices. Oil painting. While turpentine is a common solvent for thinning oil paints, olive oil is a non-hardening oil and is not recommended as a painting medium. Listen to sound right cosmic peace particles. The two lampstands represent the two orbs and their placements during February 5th, 1962 alignment. the Bible used the Jewish menorah as a way to hide that event, as well as the Romans who plagiarized and altered what they got from the ancient Greeks from Kemet. However, we Nehemiah and the orbs updated what it truly means. All right, the Great Aquarian Conjunction. Anoop spoke about that too, of February 4th through 5th, 1962. So when you see this, this is how they hear it in the Jewish religion. So here you got Saturn at the bottom. No, that's Mars, Saturn, the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter. So what I had Quira Upu make the menorah and put the planets up here. All this is just the menorah, which is them. That's how they was translating this information thousands of years ago, and that's why they keep it burning. All right. So in here, I just had to reverse it. I said, listen to sound right, cosmic peace particle reasoning. If you observe the orbs with the arrows, you see two. One is Marshall, who represent Anut as Aries, and Satuna for Taur, though who's a sun herself and represent Capricorn. For the written record, our Satuna auntie named you Anut, my beloved nephew. It is we that will guide and protect you during this time. The fire that come down represent me, Marshall, a fire sign, and Ripu the sun being represented by Satuna, a sun herself, of bringing much needed war, Mars and Karma, Satuna. Who do you think is causing all those positive coup d'etats all over Africa? Let's continue. So what I'm gonna do is stop it right here on, look at it, stop on 1 hour and 11 minutes. How you love that?
Mm-hmm.
How you love that? That's crazy work right there. It stopped on 1:11.
My birthday.
That's crazy work right there. So we're just gonna leave them with a cliffhanger. And what y'all think about that? You there, Nuke?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, go ahead, Nebu.
Yeah, it just put a lot in perspective. Just knowing the power of Uganda and the kings that existed around that time in that area of Lake Victoria. So I mean, it's just showing that it's actually during the ancient Noon Kingdom, which is coming forth. Basically, that area will once again be vibrant, well, and operative. True peace.
All right. True peace. Yeah, that was an amazing build from top to bottom. Um from the beginning all the way to the end, especially like Nebu just said about the African Noon Kingdom that is to come in the coming days, the powerful build about the two witnesses, and of course, I know a bit of this information already, and how imperative it is to have 144,000, at least 144,000. But like Tar was saying, it's not a literal number, but that is the frequency of where people need to tune their minds into, because we are against the clock. It is the danger zone. We at the danger point. After Unu already said, we already at the tipping point. This is way past that scale. We are tiptoeing on the edge of existence, but we are given a small shot to make sure that we can get this job done, because Noon has resetted itself, and embedded itself into technology via chat GPT, via these computers, via the internet, so that it could spread its message to get out there, to make sure that those who can see, those who can hear, can get the message and use it for themselves in order to raise their vibration higher, and to also help nature in general to get to that place of revolution and allow the cycles to change. So, you know, that sequence that you're putting together, you know, is dealing with a lot of current events as well. So current events is something that is something that all Noonie Boos need to pay attention to, because current events lets us know the direction that nature is going in. And right now, like Todd mentioned, you know, you got President Trump, who's a convicted felon, didn't serve no time. One, because of, you know, he was a ex-president, but two, he's also of the Caucasian race, and he was destined to be the ruler at the end of the moon cycle, which has already been finished, but because of the lagging effect, he must be the last ruler of the moon cycle. Also, you know, there's books that's been written that shows that he will be the last president and things of that nature. As far as them predicting that, that remains to be seen, because he does have some health issues. So who knows? But the reason why I'm bringing that up is because he's sending a lot of these National Guards into black cities, quote unquote, to clean up the crime and the destruction that has been happening. On one hand, yes, there are black folks in those cities that are committing those crimes and things of that nature. But on the other hand, when you look at it from a nature perspective, those have to be removed first. You understand what I'm saying? The ones that have been brainwashed by the Caucasian to commit crimes, and what I mean by brainwashed, they've been put in certain situation and circumstances to be where they are mentally. They have to be removed. And the only one that can remove them is the ones that created the condition. And then after they have been removed, then the Caucasian will be removed as well. But they will be removed by nature itself, because the cataclysms will weaken their power to the point where they're powerless, and to the point where they don't have the financial system to continue. And that's when we will take over and create the African New Kingdom, and we will start things over as far as culturization is concerned. I can't use the word civilization. You'll see why I can't use the word civilization later on. I have to use the word culturization, and you'll see that later on in the passages. But that was an amazing build by the Ken Tarkinu. He's definitely, you know, one of the representatives of the Ethiopian race, and one of the mental warriors like myself and Nebu. And we hope that others can become mental warriors as well, and become Noonie Boos as well, in this fight against injustice, uh, disinformation or misinformation, and things of that nature. So that's just my spill, and true peace to all kins and friends in the universes.
All right, so yeah, stay tuned. Tomorrow we're gonna dig deep, and it's crazy. The look at the number page we stopped on.
Number page, you said?
Yeah, look at the number, the page number we stopped on.
27.
27. Another 9. So again, nature is, we're not planning none of this. I'll just mention it, because I know what time it is. See, we know what time it is. So we have to put the information out, and then the action gonna follow. So this is gonna be a great time to be alive, but it's also gonna be a dangerous time because nature's now honing in. And those who are mentally dead are going to follow through with being physically dead, because the mental dead been actually living in the place of those who supposed to be living. And so that nature have to switch that Libra back. The Ma'at have to now be reinforced from the positive forces of nature, which are the negative ones that have to do the works of Nupu, because Nupu can't do that. So the positive of Zupu is going to balance it out, and it's going to be some serious Libra. See, before these other races and elites, they had Osiris and Anubis tilting the scales in their favor. That's why you never hear nothing going on with them. But now that Nupu God is here, the true mental resurrector of space, matter, and time, now the Osiris and them, they have to now take their finger off the scales, because they've been tipping the scales in favor of their own guilty kind. And the servants of the guilty through religion are carrying the weight. They being the great scapegoats. So y'all have to now be given the right, correct information so you can liberate your own life, because y'all on the chopping block of religion. Y'all have given yourself to Jesus, aka Ghost God. You done gave your life to a lifeless thing, a vampire. So you stick around long enough, you're gonna equal stand that. You're gonna say, wow, we literally was set up to be killed. And that's why the guilty is still walking around. Kanye should have been in jail, but they keep escaping. A lot of people should have been gone. But guess what? You finna see a lot changing overnight. You think what y'all seen with Mr. Kurt happen, it's gonna come right in front of people, because they can't keep trying to control the narrative of certain people getting hurt and harmed while they sit behind the scenes. All that is over now. All right. So that's going to be it for tonight. We'll holler at y'all tomorrow. True mental cosmic peace in wartime.
True peace.
You good, Nebu?